What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Early Edge. It is a very happy Friday. NFL Draft Day #1. Very, very interesting. We're going to get some reaction to that with the stars of the show, of course. But let's take a look real quick at what we did on Thursday. Pretty even down the board here, 4-4. But thank you, Mike McClure, for the plus 170 play on JJ McCarthy. We did have a plus 170 loss. Byron Murphy, first defender taken. He was actually the second defender taken. So we almost hit 2 plus 170s. But listen, a pretty good day, especially considering Mike McClure's picks. But 4-4, we want to do a little bit better than that. And today we want to raise the energy level a little bit as well. And to that end, hit the like button if you could. But ladies and gentlemen, you know how we do it on a Friday. It's Big Pick Energy.
Whoa! Whoa! Kyle!
First of all, Buckets, I love that. What is this thing? What's that thing?
I'm channeling my inner Mauro Icardi from Galatasaray in the Turkish Super League today because he is going to have a field day against Adana Demirspor. See ya.
Obviously. No, I totally knew what that was. I was just setting you up. Mike McClure, we don't need to go to you. I know you were reading probably the encyclopedia. That would be a Mike, or the almanac. That would be a Mike McClure thing to do. But Chip, I got to go to you first because I'll admit I already had my double espresso today and I actually listened to some music. My mood, my level is raised, but I can't speak for everybody in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind, a little chip me up.
Good morning to you. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Buckets. Good morning, Snake. Good morning, Early Edge fam. That's right. I'm back here with that battery in the back of your back. So here's the deal. I'm looking at it. I'm like, oh, God, we got to handicap the Zurich. You're darn right we're ready to handicap the Zurich. It's going to be some foursomes.
Oh, did we just lose him? Well, here's the good news. That's a really good.
I thought he paused at the perfect time.
Yeah, I was like, man, he's really good at that. There, you're back. That's a good prelude, Chip Patterson, to some golf picks today, right? Because I'm coming with an MLB pick. Is he paused again? I feel like he is. Unless he's just standing still so perfectly. All right, here's the deal. Mike, I do want to go to you first. Buckets before Buckets, you're hilarious. I hope you all are watching live. Listen, we want to get to Buckets' official picks, but Mike McClure, let me ask you this. The draft was yesterday. There's a lot of reaction, especially to the quarterbacks. Obviously, the Michael Penix Jr. pick was a little curious, at least by most of the industry assessing that. What were your initial reactions to the NFL draft?
Yeah, I wondered why Chip had the battery out. I think he sent those to Atlanta. They have put them back in the controller. The auto draft is no longer on, hopefully, for that franchise. Yeah, I don't know what they're doing. It's 2 years in a row. I know Bijan's a phenomenal player. Horrible pick at 8 last year. Horrible pick again here. Can't say enough poor things about what the Atlanta Falcons are doing. Loved it for my Kansas City Chiefs. Loved a lot of picks overall in the draft. No surprise we saw a ton of offensive players with the offensive linemen. Really good class for that. And yeah, we'll be very interesting to see what the Bills do here at the start of the second round.
Yeah, and Chip, let me go to you because I understand the sentiment behind the Michael Penix pick, especially when you got Kirk Cousins on your team. You've got other needs to fill, particularly on the other side of the ball. I actually didn't hate the pick, considering the future and considering how often quarterbacks get injured these days for multiple games. So, but I completely get what Mike McClure and the rest of the industry is saying. What's your initial reaction to day one? Is it the Michael Penix thing, or are we going a different direction? Obviously, Bo Nix getting drafted as early as he got drafted. That was a big one too.
So on May 1st, 2023, Danny Cannell got on the Cover 3 podcast and said, there's no way Bo Nix is a top 16 pick. He said, if Bo Nix is a top 16 pick, I will grow a beard out like Duck Dynasty. So, Danny, the receipts are out. We await to see what facial hair comes our way. Bo Nix at 12 was stunning. We talked about it on the Cover 3 podcast on Thursday morning. We were like needling him, like, oh, Danny, you're getting nervous. A lot of Bo Nix hype. I had no clue he'd go as high as 12. So a stunner, and one that's going to carry reverberations across the CBS Sports Podcast Network.
Yeah, if you weren't already dialed into the Cover 3 podcast on YouTube and the podcast itself, that's a very good reason to dial in. I want to see that beard. Buckets, now we were talking pre-show. I do want to get to your soccer picks in a second, but it sounded to me like perhaps you're going to be the newest Marvin Harrison Jr. fan.
Yeah, I totally knew who that was before earlier this week, since I live in Columbus and I'm now an Ohio State fan. So it makes a lot of sense to me. Can't wait to pick up a kit or a jersey or whatever you call it and support him in his NFL endeavors.
It's definitely called a kit, and you should call it that from now on. All right, Buckets, let's get to some official picks. If you have any NFL draft reaction, put it in the chat. If you got picks, put them in the chat. I see you, Reed Phillips. I see you, Bradley Jacobs. I see you, Mark Buckholtz and Matt. Thanks for being in here. Thanks for hitting the like button. All right, let's get it started. We're 5 minutes into the show already, Buckets, and we don't have an official pick yet. You're going to get us started, buddy. What are the soccer plays today?
See, I'm going to copy Chip here a little bit, and if I don't hit both of these plays, I will also grow my beard out, Duck Dynasty style. But keep in mind, this is 29 years so far, so it's going to take me a bit to finally get there. Let's start with the Irish Premiership in a matchup between Dundalk and Bohemians, and this is a tricky one because Dundalk hasn't won a game yet. They've played 11 fixtures this season, 0 wins, 5 draws, 6 losses. This is a team that almost plays to draw. This is a team that really does nothing for the first 45 minutes, goes down 1-0, and then goes, shit, we need a goal if we're going to win this one. So I'm playing this one a little bit carefully here by taking Bohemians draw no bet at -135. Bohemians are the much better team here. I think worst case scenario, they do get that 1-1 draw, but this is the same Bohemians that have won 4 of their last 5 in this league and just beat Shelbourne a couple weeks ago, which is the best team currently in all of Ireland. So take the draw no bet, give yourself that safety net, and let's get ready for pick number 2. We're going to France's League in a big matchup between Montpellier and Nantes, and we're taking Montpellier over 1.5 team total at +100. The reason we're taking it is because it's +100. For me, a fair line on this is closer to -115, -120 for how good offensively Montpellier has been in recent months. As soon as they were a part of the relegation conversation, this team completely flipped everything and started playing offensive ball. In the first half of the season, they tried to park the bus. It didn't work. Now we're seeing them attacking. They have scored 2+ goals now in 6 of their last 7 fixtures, which included scoring twice against PSG, twice against Nice, and twice against Lorient. They're scoring against good defenses here, so I've got no reason to see them slow down against a Nantes side that is struggling right now to find consistency.
Yeah, when I saw Montpellier there, I thought that was a league in Vermont because, of course, everybody knows Montpellier, the capital of Vermont. I actually thought that for a second. Shows how much I know about soccer. Buckets, I love the picks, and I love the reactions in the chat to Buckets' take. And by the way, if you want to take these bets, or if you want to take the bets that you are about to hear on this show, BetMGM is boosting your profits with a parlay boost token. Eligible customers will receive a 50% NBA same game parlay boost token. You can use this token for any NBA same game parlay of 4+ legs and +400 odds or longer. Log on to BetMGM or open the BetMGM app for more offer details. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to get to my play. I'm going right back to a run line play, which I did earlier in this week. And by the way, since you are on the show, Buckets, before we get to my pick, I do want to point out I haven't lost yet this week. So we're going to see if this jinx thing is a real thing, but we got to wait because we got to hear a message from our partners.
We need your sports news anywhere.
We've got breaking news to bring you.
Then get your sports anytime you want them. Big trade news overnight to discuss.
Because we know you need sports all the time.
A lot of movement in the rankings this week.
A legend adds to their legacy.
We're bringing you that breaking news right here on HQ.
CBS Sports HQ, anywhere, anytime, all the time.
All right, we are back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. Let's go right to my pick. I'm taking the Orioles today run line. Of course, they are playing the Oakland A's. The Oakland A's were good enough to get a split in a 4-game series against the Yankees, but this is the tail end of a road trip for them. Believe it or not, this is their 8th game tonight at 7 o'clock. This is going to be their 8th game in 8 days on the road, being in Cleveland and then New York and now traveling last night to Baltimore. Baltimore was on the West Coast, but they did have the day off yesterday. I do think that will benefit them. But more importantly, it's Corbin Burns versus Ross Stripling. I think, listen, Corbin Burns has been a little spotty this year, but against the Oakland A's, I think he should do just fine. The A's not very good batting and certainly not very good against righties. The Orioles, on the other hand, very, very potent against righties. Listen, the bullpen for the Orioles, not necessarily the best. And with this -1.5 and Orioles being the home team, I am foregoing the last 3 outs here, obviously, in the bottom of the 9th. But I think the Orioles are going to get all over Ross Stripling. And I think we're going to see a very good day from Corbin Burns. Again, I think this is going to be a weary A's team, which is already a bad team as it is. Give me the Orioles, who I think are I don't think I'm really going out on a limb here, and I think people will disagree with me. I think the Orioles are the best team in the American League, so I'm all over the Orioles this year. And I think they're going to cover this one pretty easily. Give me the Orioles -1.5 at -120. Put this on SportsLine last night. It might be up to -125, -130. I still like it there. But again, if you're not a member of SportsLine, this is a very good reason to do it, because sometimes these lines overnight will escalate a little bit as far as the juice is concerned. All right, that's my baseball pick. Now we got to go to another early edge favorite. Listen, the Orioles are a team we've been betting on this year. But there's another team, Mike McClure, that not only are we betting on during the season, but that we bet a little bit preseason as well. You've got the floor.
All right, Sia, let's back the Kansas City Royals again. Love the Royals this season. Like this little matchup for them. They're on the road, early start time. This is day baseball in Detroit. A few things that I like here. Number one, I make the Royals 54% winners. That implies -117. That is exactly the price point that this game is. It's just flipped. The Tigers are a -117 favorite. I think the Royals should be the slight road favorite in this matchup. I want to pick on Reese Olson just a little bit. And I know Reese Olson, I think he's going to be a fine starting pitcher at some point in his career. He's just 24 years old, doesn't have a massive sample size here, but I don't like some of the hard contact that I'm seeing. This Royals offense is a legit top 10 offense in Major League Baseball. 7th against right-handed pitching so far. One of the best on the base paths. That's what I want to focus on here. I think he's going to be susceptible to stolen bases, and that's where the Royals are going to be able to manufacture runs in this game. Kansas City, just like Cincinnati and Baltimore, extremely aggressive on the base paths. That's going to happen again here in this one. When you look at the weather concerns, Seth Lugo, I think this is a great spot for him. He's a good starting pitcher, getting acclimated to this team and this rotation in Kansas City. But this particular ballpark is one of the best pitching environments in Major League Baseball, especially in these weather conditions. We're talking 60 degrees at most, double-digit winds blowing in. It's going to be extremely difficult to hit the baseball out of the yard here today. You're going to have to manufacture runs, which is what Kansas City, frankly, is very, very good at. So I like the Royals here. The reason why I would say they're probably not favored is they were in that rain-delayed game yesterday. The travel was delayed a little bit, but it wasn't unusual to the point where they were landing at 3 a.m., playing at noon, anything like that. So I don't have any concerns about it. I like Kansas City here on the money line.
A couple questions for you, because I noticed Big Cheesy put a couple things in the chat. Most recently, Bobby Witt over a half a stolen base at +190. But the other one that I think I saw from him earlier in the show was Bobby Witt over 2.5 hits, runs, and RBIs at plus money as well. Any thoughts on just Bobby Witt props in general?
I like them. It's hard not to. You get a guaranteed 9th inning team at bat with him, which is always critical. And just, yeah, Bobby Witt is a legitimate MVP candidate. So absolutely.
All right. And if you have any other questions, put them in the chat. We can't always get to every single one, but anyone that I see or anyone points out, we're going to try to get to. All right, we got to try to get to the SportsLine picks. We're going to go to the NBA a little bit, to the hard court, but we got to do one quick thing first.
The best couch potatoes come from Pluto TV country.
And these taters, they like all sorts of different things.
Survivor Channel, Ink Master Channel.
If it's got a spaceship in it, I'm probably watching it.
3 channels dedicated to CSI.
Whatever mood you're in, it's going to be easy watching.
All right, we are back on the Early Edge presented by BetMGM. Before I get to the NBA picks, Chip Patterson, I know you watch a lot of different sports. Remind me, is NBA among them? Are you dialed into these NBA playoffs, or are you just so focused on the NFL draft, college spring games that you're not really, you haven't arrived yet?
Yeah, it's the college spring games. It's kind of the golf, because I'm just throwing myself at golf, especially as soon as the college basketball season ends. So, no, I parachute in like a normie with big opinions that are 100% right. And, I do it every year, so I know who's who and what's what. I'm not like lost in the woods out here. But, yeah, I'm not like – I'm not dialed in enough to be able to tell you to take the Pacers because, even though the number's gotten up to 6, this looks like the kind of game where they're just going to hammer them in a 5:30 tip-off. Maybe it's the kind of spot where the home court environment gives them some juice. So, yeah, I'm not that kind of guy, just somebody who parachutes in from time to time.
I'll tell you what, that sounds like a sharp play, because when you look at this Pacers line and you look at it at 6, you start to think, hey, this seems a little too high. Let me just go ahead and take the higher seed, the Milwaukee Bucks. But the sports line pick on this one, and Chip, I love where you were going with that. The sports line pick here is the over in the Bucks Pacers game. And Chip said it. This is really important, everybody. This one's at 5:30. I mean, I think tip might be a few minutes after 5:30, but this is an unusual start time. So please, if you want to bet on this game, if you want to take the sports line pick, which of course is the over 223.5, you got to get it in early. Again, 5:30, the next sports line pick. We go to the Timberwolves and the Phoenix Suns. Jaden McDaniels. We're not taking his points. He absolutely exploded last game. We're taking his over in rebounds and assists. That's set at 5.5. This one's a little juicy at -154. And this game is at 10:30. The start times, 5:30, 8 o'clock, and 10:30 for these 3 games. Kind of tiered perfectly. Mike McClure, let me ask you, we've got 3 games here. Of the 3, is there any that you're kind of dialed into from a, hey, this line looks off, or all these like pretty efficient, you're just staying away completely?
I would say the Clippers Mavs game. That series should be extremely competitive with the way those two teams play basketball, just the style of play. So if I had to lean any sort of way on any of the games today, it would be Clippers plus 4.5. I just think it's a big number in a playoff game. I think it's a 1-possession game either way. So that would be where I would lean first.
And Buckets, I got to ask you, because I'm a big Timberwolves guy. I have that heads up in the series with Maestro. I've got the Timberwolves plus 10. He's got the Suns -130. The spread in this Phoenix Suns game is the Suns. They're at home -4.5. I'm leaning towards the Timberwolves. Is that where you're leaning as well? I know you are a basketball expert. I need your insight here.
Okay, thank you for saying it's basketball at the end there, because I was very lost for a second. Yeah, I'm all about the Suns today, Sia. So whatever they are on the spread is what I'm backing.
Yeah, of course.
The sun was shining when I woke up this morning. We were backing the Suns.
I will say I was surprised, Mike, that Grayson Allen was getting shots up yesterday in practice. I honestly thought that ankle roll was going to send him out maybe the rest of the series. I feel like that's a huge, like, for those of you in the chat that think, well, Grayson Allen's just kind of a guy. Not really, especially when you're talking about a guy that like, or a team that has absolutely no depth. And Grayson Allen is, I feel like it's almost like a big 4 as opposed to a big 3, right? Chip, you clearly agree.
Yeah. I just think that he's taken a big step this year. Right.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just his 3-point shooting has gotten up and has made him like a really dangerous factor. He's able to provide some pretty good defense. Like I think that he has grown as a player this season in a notable way. But what'd you say about their depth, man? You just get out there, and the Phoenix Suns are the perfect example of a team that looks great on paper. And I do think the NBA playoffs exposes teams that don't have that stuff, like that DNA, you know, the fabric that you need to win in these playoff environments. The same team over and over and over again. It's a flawed group and a flawed roster, in my opinion.
Big time. And I've been saying it all year. Hopefully I'll be proven right at the end of this series. Mike, does it come down to, I know it's almost silly to say it, but with the lack of depth, does it almost come down to Grayson Allen being healthy for the Suns to have a chance to cover this 4.5?
I think so. I mean, you know, it's on a home floor, so that makes a huge difference in terms of shooting. So yes, they're talented enough with Durant and Booker that either one of those guys could go for 45 and they could win a game by double digits. Like 100%, very much a possibility. But having Grayson Allen certainly helps them really on both ends of the floor, but it helps offensively tremendously because they can't leave him alone in the corner. He will knock down that 3. And everyone knows that. And it is constantly in the mind of a defender. And it helps Kevin Durant most specifically. It helps him a ton. Having him out there. So yeah, he is definitely a player that is very meaningful in this particular series. If he was playing on any other team, he probably makes 0 impact on a betting line. But I would say he's actually worth a full point in the spread for this team, which is pretty incredible for Grayson Allen to be moving point spreads.
Absolutely. Greatest Poet Alive says Timberwolves to win the West. I think I mentioned that a couple days ago on this show. They were plus 700 to win the West. I definitely think it's one of the better teams in the West for sure. I think they're a tough matchup for a lot of teams. And plus 1,700, by the way, to win the NBA championship, if you want to take that. All right, Chip Patterson, you mentioned it. You've got a PGA pick. I am devoid of a PGA pick. I was looking around. I really couldn't find anything I loved. Again, it's a unique structure. It's a Zurich Classic. It's a team event. I'm hoping to have a pick tomorrow when we get back to best ball, because we know the formats are different. But you've got a pick today, and your pick is one of, like, I only have 2 outrights in this tournament. If you watch the early wedge, you know that. You're picking one of my 2 outrights to win a matchup today. What is it?
And look, to be clear, this is a vibes play. This is a half unit play. This is jumping in on what you know is going to be one of the featured groups of the afternoon. But daggum, that line's to what do we say sometimes in football? We're like that's too many daggum points. And minus 155 for Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay against Sahith Theegala and Will Zalatoris. That's too many daggum prices. We go with the dog because what we have, I'm so glad that you mentioned the format. So in better ball, best ball, which is what was going to be played, which played yesterday, going to be played on Saturday. You just want to have 2 balls in the fairway, 2 balls on the green. Each of you gets a chance to knock down a birdie putt. Vibes are really good. But we have the potential as we move into foursomes or alternate shot, as a lot of people know. We have the potential to actually see some bogeys out there today. This is going to be the day where, one bad shot can not only mess up that hole, but one bad shot can mess up all the rhythms and the vibes of your group. So Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are, I believe, close to the favorites, if not the favorites to win. But you don't even have to go 4 or 5 spots down on the live odds boards to find Sahith and Zally. And so I just think that at plus value, it is worth a little half unit play, just on the idea that Xander and Cantlay might just get off on 1 or 2 holes, because in terms of form, in terms of just, the way that they're playing, all 4 of these guys are strong golfers. So it's a little bit fun to jump in at plus money, because in a push, I could see Sahith and Zally winning outright, clearly. Minus 1 too many.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. Listen, if it was minus 110 each way, we're not exactly interested in Zalatoris and Theegala in that matchup. But I do like the plus 120 for sure. And again, this is one of my outrights. I will say this, speaking of vibes, like obviously Xander and Patrick are very good friends. They played this event together. But for those of you that don't know, Sahith and Will Zalatoris are pretty good friends too. So just from a vibe standpoint and just 2 friends walking down the course and not being afraid to kind of talk to each other in a real way, I think Zalatoris and Theegala share the same sort of relationship that Patrick Cantlay and Xander Schauffele share, for whatever that's worth. Again, it's a team event, so you do have to go down narrative street a little bit there. By the way, I don't have a golf play, but I will say this, and I don't normally recommend stuff like this, but if you were to throw a golf play like into, like, let's say a baseball parlay, you like a baseball parlay, but a baseball bet, but it's like minus 160 or minus 180, and you just don't want to take it. I will say that Tom Hoge, Maverick McNeely are minus 270 over Kevin Kisner and Scott Brown. I would never pay the minus 270, really, in any golf bet, I don't think. But I cannot see a scenario, and I'm not even big on Hoge and McNeely, as big as some people are in this tournament. I do not see a scenario where Kevin Kisner and Scott Brown beat Tom Hoge and Mav McNeely in alternate shots. So if you were to speculate on a play that you wanted to throw into a parlay, that minus 270, in my opinion, does have some value, again, to add to an existing play. Hey, Mike McClure, go ahead, Buckets.
I was going to say, add that 270 to a Mauro Icardi anytime goal scorer today at minus 120. Gets you to nice plus odds for something that I think is very likely in the soccer world, at least.
I love that. And for the record, Mike, I was going to ask you if there was anything golf related from an outright standpoint. But again, it's a team event. You're probably not looking at the outright board, correct?
Yeah, no, I haven't watched a single shot of the tournament. I did not place a single bet on the tournament. They're fun, but NFL draft weekend, baseball season, playoffs, it's just one of those weeks where I take the week off in golf.
And I'll say this, if you don't want to lay the 1.5 on the Orioles, you want to take the money line. If you add this play in, and again, I'm not really a parlay guy, I'm just throwing it out there. If you want to add the Orioles money line to Hoge McNeely play, you're probably looking at like minus 115, a minus 120. Don't hate that play. Oh, there you go. Alex Jones. He was ahead of me. He was typing it as I was saying it. Maybe I'm Alex Jones, folks. Hoge McNeely plus Orioles money line, he says, is minus 120. Good guess, Sia. All right, let's take a look at the recap screen. It looks like we lost Chip, but we have his pick. He's got Theegala Zalatoris plus 120 over Xander and Patrick Cantlay. Buckets, Bahamian, DNB minus 135. And it's not the capital of Vermont, but it's Montpellier. Team total over 1.5 at even money. I've got the Orioles tonight, minus 1.5. We're playing the run line, minus 120. Mike McClure, he's on his team. The Royals money line -102, near even money there. And Sportsline picks Bucks Pacers over 223.5 and -110. And Jaden McDaniels over 5.5 rebounds and assists at the juicy price of -154. Moshi is on the Hoagie and Orioles first 5. Okay, so that's how he's going to play it. Reed says he loved the show today. I love the show today, and it's mostly thanks to Buckets, Mike McClure, Chip Patterson, Jake the Snake on the 1s and 2s, but most importantly, to the chat, all your questions, all your comments. Absolutely love the energy every single day that you put in here. Really appreciate you being in here, hitting the like button, and just being a part of this experience. We will see you very soon on the Early Edge. Have a great Friday, everybody. Have a great weekend, everybody. I am the counselor. This is the Early Edge, and we rest our case.